Welcome back, everybody, to another episode 7 of the Gaming and Drinking Cast. I don't know, man. It's like we've been doing it forever or something.
It does feel like it's been forever.
We're practically professionals.
No, we're not practically. We are professionals. Look at those iTunes scores and reviews.
We got 5 stars, bro. 5 stars.
We do have 5 stars.
Oh, boy. Ooh, look at that pretty beer.
Ooh, is that a sour? Is that a Westbrook?
It's a Berliner Weiss. It is a Westbrook. It is, I will get to that in just a second. It is called, you're going to like this, Maximum Florida.
That's awesome.
And it is Imperial Berliner Weiss with dragon. Dude, listen to all this. Let me loosen up the lips a little bit. Imperial Berliner Weiss with dragon fruit, passion fruit, mango, pineapple, pink guava, key lime, tangerine, toasted coconut, marshmallows, and milk sugar.
Wow, that's
like they just threw the whole kitchen.
They're like, what you got in that? What you got in that fridge over there? Why don't you toss that in this beer?
Yeah, and I'm sure it is Maximum Florida. There is no ABV on here on the can, which kind of scares me a little bit.
No, there's got to be. I don't think that's legal.
Dude, I was looking all day. Did not see it. I don't see it. I don't think there's one. No, there's not. But I can look it up. But in the meantime, what are you drinking?
So I'm drinking a Founders Centennial IPA. It is their flagship IPA, not their all day, which is their most famous one because that's their session. But this is their actual West Coast IPA. It's got.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a Centennial hop IPA. It's very good. It's very just your regular old run-of-the-mill IPA, but it's a very good one of those. I'm a fan. I like a lot of things Founders. I like their darker beers. Their barrel-aged stuff tends to be very, very good.
Their Imperial stouts are really good too.
Their regular-ass porter is great. Like it's so good. It's one of the best porters out there. And they're a national brand, so they're all over the place. They're very famous, and there's a reason for that. They're good at what they do.
Yeah, they're huge.
And this is I was just in the mood for a basic IPA today. So
I like, dude, you know me. I'm a sucker for a good can.
Yeah.
And this is a great freaking can. It's for listeners, it is like just a solid pink all the way around with a flamingo on it, and then like in Miami Vice letters, it says Maximum Florida.
It's definitely going for the Miami Vice City neon aesthetic.
You think Vice, Berliner Weiss?
Yes.
You think that's why they did that?
Yes. Beer makers cannot resist a good pun. If we know anything about beer makers, is they love a good pun. So.
Whoa.
Is it good?
Whoa, dude. Yeah. It's got. You can taste all of it. It's like it's got lime and mango on the front, and then like coconut in the middle.
Some avocado thrown in there for good measure. So
that is wild.
We should say that we did some drinking of the outside of the house variety this past weekend.
I
had an event and at one of my accounts, one of my bars out. Homeland is the name of it. It's out in
Leesville, South Carolina.
Leesville, South Carolina. Not a lot of craft options out there, so this place is pretty popular amongst younger people who are looking for that in that area. It's a great bar. If you're ever on the Leesville side of South Carolina, you should definitely go check it out if you like craft beer. And if you're listening to this podcast, I assume you like craft beer. So,
well, dude, I had never I grew up in South Carolina, and I think the only time I ever went to Batesburg, Leesville was when we wrestled them.
I was gonna say for school,
that's school
football
sports,
or something like that. Yeah.
So I'd never been there, and it was like I was like, "What the heck is this town?" And but that place was dope. It was cool. It was like a modern, craft beer bar. Like had like the LCD displays for the menus, and like had a ton of crafts on tap and in bottles.
Yep, they have 12 taps, and they have a ton of bottle options and can options and stuff like that. And it's funny because you come down the Main Street Leesville, which looks like not Newberry. What's the Andy Griffith show? Mayberry. Looks like Mayberry.
I got that vibe right away.
I mean, because it's just 2 lanes. There's one going this way and one going that way, and there's a literally right beside
all the colonial like strip mall buildings. Like
there's like an insurance place. you know, and then like a haircut place, and then right beside Homeland is a lawnmower repair shop, like literally right beside it. It's the most like downtown, like homegrown thing that I can think of.
Yeah.
And then right across the street is like the antique shop and the wig shop. So you know you're in a downtown area when they have the antique shop and the wig shop right beside each other.
Oh yeah.
And Homeland's just a really cool place that it provides a service to a crowd that probably has been neglected for years, which is like young people living out in that area that aren't necessarily like trying to drink Bud Light all the time, you know?
Yes, and also, wait. Speaking of young people in that area, do you know where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, the Carolina Squad Truck.
Dude. Okay, so anybody who is familiar with the South knows that the squatted truck is a thing.
North and South Carolina.
Well, they call it the Carolina Squat, but dude, I've seen it in Tennessee. I've seen it in Florida.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's all over. I'm sure
but
it's all over.
In South Carolina, they call it, like in Florida, everybody called it the Florida Squat. But
Really?
yeah, it's just
maybe every state wants to claim this shit for its own.
It's
This
so bad.
absolute
Dude, it was the
garbage.
most squatted truck I've ever seen, and it
This
was
one
like,
was so, and it was an SUV, so it wasn't even like a truck.
I think
like
it was
lot
like
of them are.
a Yukon or something.
Yeah, I think it was a Yukon, and it was so squatted that the front end was so high up that you like. I don't know if
The
there
guy
had
was
been,
like leaning his head out the window.
He basically would have to leave.
Like Ace Ventura just to see.
That's how high it was, because his view would have been obstructed by the like by the front end of his car. Like not even. So
and he had his hat like just sitting like loosely on the top of his head and like backwards but slightly to the side, and like me and him kind of locked eyes for a second, and I just shook my head. I was like, oh god. And then cranked his music up all the way, and I was like,
the only reason that we all saw it, because I was already in the bar when this was going on, and the only reason we all saw that is because he cranked the music up, I guess, right when he saw you, and everyone just turns and sees this abomination driving down the road. And even the like people that are like you think would be like maybe the target demographic for that were just like, oh god, like
there was like an audible sigh, and the rest.
Yeah, it's like the air deflated out, and they were like, who is this chucklehead? Like, what is going on here?
God, it was funny. And I was like, yep, I'm in Leesville.
That was the most Leesville thing that we saw while we were out there for sure.
Oh yeah, but the bar was dope.
The bar,
and also
cool.
the people were dope. I enjoyed the people there.
a lot of really cool people there. And the reason we were there is because I was doing an event with Hazelwood, which is to me the best craft brewery in Columbia, South Carolina, by a wide margin. And we actually had the brewer and owner Matt there with us, and we're going to try to get him on the show if he'll be a part of it soon, and maybe record up there at Hazelwood. I think he'd be down with it. He seems very open to that kind of thing.
We probably shouldn't just announce that on the podcast before we.
I think we can do it. I feel confident we can pull that off.
Okay. All right. That is something we want to do, though, is like we do this podcast. We've started doing a little bit of streaming Apex and stuff, but we want to branch out and do a little bit more different types of content. And one would be special episodes of gaming and drinking. It wouldn't be the podcast, obviously, but like just go in, talk to different brewers, get like the lowdown on how they brew, how they got started, and just kind of give them, the old gaming and drinking bump.
Yeah, give them the bump. Let them know.
And also, I'll take the Hazelwood bump too.
Yeah, for sure. that would be really nice.
Yeah, and Matt seems like a really cool guy.
And yes, and he will talk for hours about beer. I
could listen for hours.
He's incredibly knowledgeable and very, very good at what he does. And I think that it'd be very cool to have someone like him on the show and have his expertise and have him just be able to give a perspective on beer that is so knowledgeable and so smart about this kind of thing that we all love.
I was talking to him about like how he got started and stuff, and he grew up like right across town from me. I live in Lugoff right now. He lives in Camden, or he lived in Camden. His parents had a farm over by the river, and his dad just let him start growing hops when he was like 15. And so like then he was like, I'm gonna start brewing beer, and now he's like got his own brewery in Lexington, and he grows his own hops that they use in some of their beers. And I was like, that's really flipping cool. I'd like to let people hear about that. So hopefully we can get that going.
It's a cool story, and the location is really cool. It's like I always tell people if they've never been that it's like an Asheville type bar inside of Columbia, Lexington, South Carolina. It is a very warm, homey feeling. It's got wood paneling on the walls, like a lot of stone and a lot of like wooden like bracing and stuff like that. It just looks like a country mountain home inside of Lexington. And they're actually redoing their garden right now in the back. They're redoing all of it because they want to have a nice outside area to kind of compete with, like, most of Columbia's breweries are, let's say, facility first and beer second. And they're made to be enjoyed like by being inside a cool space.
It's more about the social hub than it is about the beer.
Right. The beer is secondary to the social interactions, which is fine. But to compete in that market, when you already have the beer, they've already got the beer down. Hazelwood does. So now they need to kind of like branch out and make it to where people want to come and spend time there, like they would at, you know, a River Rat or a Steel Hands or something like that. And they're going to redo their garden in the back and have like a lot more space for people to kind of interact and with each other and hang out and chill. And they're going to put like a big awning out, because the one big problem in Columbia, South Carolina is that it's incredibly hot all the time.
Dude, I just moved from Florida, and like my dad's like, so how's it compare heat wise? I'm like, South Carolina is so much worse. Everybody talks about Florida being like the hot place. It's like, no, South Carolina is the hot place.
Well,
like,
I think it's specifically Columbia because you're kind of landlocked.
Lugoff is the same, dude.
Well,
absolutely.
Lugoff,
the Midlands,
Columbia,
the
like
Midlands.
the Midlands area, because you're far away from the beach and the waters down there, and if you're from the upstate, you're close to the mountains, you know, so you're kind of just like in between both things that would provide a measure of coolness. And like Columbia is just like, or the Midlands are just in the center of all of that, and it's just hot all the freaking time.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the things that Hazelwood wants to do is put out like an awning or like a covering so they can have people chill out there and not get super hot.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Yeah, he's got great plans for it. They're going to do some killer things there. And like I said, they've already got the beer down, and I want to kind of talk about some of the beers that we tried, because I think they were very good and would serve our audience to be highlighted. So one of the first ones.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the first ones I tried was the Instrumentals, which was the sour.
I did like that one.
So their sours are always, he doesn't use like fake fruit or anything. He doesn't use like syrups or anything like that. It's always raw fruit. Like he uses the
and I think it's local. He was talking about like he even gets like local salt for like they do like a Mexican lager, and like it's local salt that they use, like local everything. And they use organic too. Organic strawberries.
He goes to if he can't grow it himself, he'll go to 14 Carrots, which is like a local like kind of health food store in Lexington, and that's where he got the salt from. I think he got some of the produce there, but yeah, he tries to use all local stuff, and none of it's fake, none of it's you know, the sugary water that comes with fruit, which you've seen a lot of like the fruit beers that people make. It's all real.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sure every bit of this is real
out of the fridge.
Dragon fruit, passion fruit, mango, pineapple.
Actually, I mean Westbrook might actually do that too. I'm not super sure.
I just would love to see. I would love to see like the barrel that they throw this all in.
I'd like to eat some of the fruit out of it after it's been used, like the mush. Yeah. See, like, because you know, like when you drink like PJ when you're in college or something, and it's like all the fruit and gummy bears that's at the bottom has just been soaking in Everclear, and then it's like you eat one gummy bear and you're completely toasted. Like that's what I imagine it would be like if you got some of the fruit out of the bottom of one of those barrels.
Yeah,
I think that'd be super fun to try.
Matt, when we come to your place,
get us some fruit. Get us some fruit.
Oh God.
So what was one of the ones that you liked?
I had the Belgian Strong Ale. I can't remember what it was called. Constellations. And I tried that one because I was really enjoying the conversation we were having about like the stuff he grew himself, especially the hops. Mm-hmm. And that one in particular is one that they use their own hops in. And so I tried that one and I really enjoyed it. I think it was you and him both were saying that one's probably like a little bit of an acquired taste, but like
Belgian Strongs tend, as far as like, especially with my sales, Belgian Strongs tend to be an acquired taste. It's not, because people, it's in between like a Hefeweizen and then just like a pale ale or a golden ale. It's really between a golden ale and a Hefeweizen, not quite a farmhouse. And you get people who either want one or the other. They want that coriander and banana of the Hefe, or they want the golden, like light taste of the golden ale. And this is kind of in between that and doesn't really speak to either one of those audiences, but it does for people who like that style. It really speaks to them. And that one of my good friends, Brandy, who you met the other night, that's her favorite beer. Like,
oh, really?
Ever. Yeah. And so I always get her, they do like a barrel aged imperial version every Christmas. And I got her one last year for Christmas, and
Nice.
she loved it. It was so good. But the, that beer in particular is I think fantastic, but it is something that if you're not used to that style might kind of give you pause.
Well, I was definitely ready for it, because I've had plenty of Belgian strong ales, so like I knew what I was getting into, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty damn good, especially considering like it's all your shit. Like that's really awesome.
I think he said 2 beers that they do that uses his local grown hops at his farm.
Yeah,
which is super cool. And one of the other ones they did that I think we can kind of end on this one was the Fresh Tendrils, which was their
that was the IPA, wasn't it?
It's their dank IPA. So like if you've ever had a G13 or from Sweetwater or any of those kind of things, like where he actually didn't use the
tannins.
The tannins. The stuff that gives it that strong smell that the G13 has. He uses the like whatever hop that is that gives it that. So it smelled and tasted way, to me, stronger than what the G13 does, but it also wasn't as like in your face potent, and it actually tasted funkier than any of those. I really enjoyed that one.
That
one was great. There were people there that were like, "What is this legal?"
I had to get high. Yeah. Was it Amarillo? It might have been Amarillo or either Apollo.
I couldn't remember.
I don't know
which hop he said it was that gave it that distinct and very strong dank smell.
Oh yeah, dude. Like if everybody in that restaurant like had one of those at the same time, like someone would walk in and be like, "Who's smoking the weed?
Y'all are smoking something." Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, that was cool. And then we also did a little bit of drinking. Speaking of River Rat, I know that was like 10 minutes ago, but we went and floated down the Saluda River like a couple of river rats and drank a bunch of beer, and that was fun.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Colombia for any extended period of time, you've probably heard about this concept of floating the river, which is basically putting in
I think they do that like everywhere.
Right, but if you don't have a river in your city, you don't do it.
If you don't do it. Yeah, a lot of coastal cities.
I'm from Greenville, Spartanburg area, and I don't remember anyone ever doing like they do it down here.
Nobody went up to North Carolina and floated in the mountains?
I mean, maybe older people, but in high school, no one did that.
I did that.
Not in the upstate we did. That's what I'm saying. Like in the upstate we didn't. There was no concept of that. Yeah. So anyway, you start at the top of this at the Saluda, and then you go down, and actually you finish where it joins up with the
broad,
the broad, and it becomes the Congaree. I think.
Yeah.
And it's one of the craziest parts is you can feel when the broad joins the Saluda, because the Saluda is off of, I guess, Lake Murray. And
the water comes from the bottom of the dam, and so it's super cold water.
It's incredibly cold, and then when you hit the broad, it literally becomes like bath water for a second, and it's such a weird juxtaposition between the two things.
The weirdest thing about the whole thing is like, so when you first get into the Saluda, like we put up high, and like you get in and the water's like 60 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's super cold, and you're like, this sucks. But because of this stupid South Carolina heat, by 15 minutes in, you're like, thank God I'm in this 60-degree water.
Can it be any colder, please? I would love for it to be just a little bit colder.
And then you get to the broad, and you're like, damn it, this water's too hot.
Yeah, but by the time you get to the bathwater, you're like, please bring back the icy cold stuff so I can cool down again, because it's so hot. I mean, like
I was applying SPF 50 all day, and would it be weird for me to take my shirt off and show the chest?
It'd
be weird. Yeah, okay. Just know that there is a red lobster underneath this shirt that is like, I can feel the heat radiating off my skin.
I'm not sure that anyone needs to see any of that per se, but
what, you don't think the viewers want to see my lobster skin?
Listen, you can do, if you want to make this 17 restricted, and or maybe started. You could. This could be the premiere of your OnlyFans. This could be the start of your OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.com/gaming.
If you if you want exclusive content like this, where people are taking their shirt off to show lobster skin, go to onlyfans.com/gaming and drinking.
Oh my God, that's great. Oh man. Yeah, speaking of redneck stuff in the river and lobster skin, dude, back in the day when I was a kid, like I said, I grew up here in Lugoff, South Carolina. There's not a whole lot going on here. One of my favorite pastimes was I would go down to the creek with my friends.
Yep.
Which was a runoff creek, and catch crawfish and eat them.
That's not where I thought this was going, but
yeah, there was a ton of
crawfish. Raw as crawfish, like right out of the creek?
No. We would start a fire and then we'd cook them.
Oh, okay.
Out in the woods, like a bunch of hillbillies.
I got to tell you, I am from South Carolina, and I am not a big crawfish person. I love shrimp. I love lobster. I love a lot of the crustacean families out there, but I do not like crawfish.
I love crawfish. Send me to that crawfish festival, dude. I'm all about it. Like, give me a bucket with some crawfish.
Have you ever been there?
In it. Oh, yeah. You go and they give you just like a big,
and it's
giant
just people like ripping into them, and everyone's like all dirty because they've got the hot sauce and stuff all over their faces, and I'm like, oh, this is not. I don't want to be here anymore.
If you're vegan,
not my place.
You might want to change the channel.
I'm not vegan, but I can't get down with the mutilation of the crawfish, like because they're all like fully. It's not like shrimp where they have the heads and stuff cut out. Like these are full on like, you know.
Dude, you got to suck the brains out.
Well. So gross. That's
what you got to do. It's crawfish.
Oh God.
Come on, bro.
What a terrible terminology too. You got to suck the brains out.
Got to suck the head.
Yeah, I know exactly. Still wiggling too.
Is that better? You got to suck the head.
That's again. Go to onlyfans.com/gaming and drinking if you want to see the head being sucked.
Crawfish skin and head sucking.
That's a different channel. That's our other launch that we're gonna look forward to that later on in the year. Oh my We're launching a different IP.
Okay, let's get into this, dude. All right, so all right. There's more to come with all that, but let's talk about some games.
How far into it we haven't talked about? This is our longest chit chat.
I don't know, maybe. But we've got there's a lot to go through this week, man.
There's a lot to go through.
The news just won't quit.
We can kind of rapid fire some of this stuff, I feel like, because this has been out in the world for like a week and a half.
Yeah,
now,
dude, this got announced literally the day after we recorded our
right. Of course it did.
The Switch OLED model is coming. We got a Switch OLED model coming, and like when they first announced it, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds awesome! Can't wait!" But then, like, the more that I read into it, and the more that like I see it, the more I'm like, "This kind of is." Like just there's nothing to it except for the OLED bigger screen. That's
literally what it is. The internals are exactly the same. I will say that the bigger screen along with the OLED makes me curious about it in a way that I wouldn't be, because I do play mine handheld a lot. But without the internals being upgraded at all, I still feel like there's something to the rumors earlier in the year that they're going to do some kind of 4K application, some kind of like, upgrade to make it to where games run better, smoother, 60 frames, something like that. Like that was definitely the rumor leading up to this stuff. So the fact that it's just the OLED screen makes me think there's going to be a revision further down the road.
Maybe when I think that this might be kind of like a baton pass in between, like just to kind of a carryover while this crazy like chip shortage is going on.
Right, exactly, which makes me not want to jump into it, because I feel like they're going to do an OLED model with a 4K capabilities like maybe in 2022. You know?
But I will say there is one other thing to be excited about with this thing. The kickstand.
Yes.
Dude,
yes.
So I've broken my kickstand off of my Switch.
I've broken two of them. I broke the original one, of course, because it was a piece of shit. And then
I've still got my first Switch, and I broke it off, but I was able to snap it back in.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Mine, eventually I lost it because it kept falling off. And then I bought you can buy a replacement one from like Amazon that's metal and like sticks in really nicely. And I still, because I like to like try to, if I'm laying in bed or have it like propped up somewhere, I want to put it like somewhere where I can keep it, level.
Why don't you just keep the Joy-Cons on it and play it?
Because my hands start to hurt after a while. If I'm laying in bed, I'm tired, I don't want to do all that.
Oh, somebody get Travis No, what you do is you set it on a pillow. You set the whole thing on a pillow.
No, I've done it. So then I'll take the Joy-Cons off. But to see if I had a kickstand, I wouldn't have to set it on a pillow. I could just set it down. If I had a kickstand that worked. And then if you look at this new model's kickstand, you're like, how did they not think of that the first fucking time? Like, why did you not lead with that? Because it makes so much more sense.
They should call this the Nintendo Switch kickstand model.
Instead of OLED. I thought you were gonna say they should call this the Nintendo Switch. Why didn't you think of this the first fucking time model? Because that also could be the name of it. Because also there's the wired LAN port, which seems like a no fucking brainer to me. But it's just it seems like they. But I will say this: it seems like they took a lot of the criticism of the original Switch and they said, what can we improve without spending way too much money to make it like a second
or any money?
How can we none?
How can we charge $50 more without
OLED screen? I will say an OLED screen is not cheap. Like OLEDs,
but dude, every factory now is only making OLED screens. I bet the LCDs are more expensive at this point than OLED.
It's like CRT stuff.
Exactly.
It's like you can't buy it.
It's outdated.
LCDs.
It's outdated technology.
You're right. You're right.
That stuff's getting cheaper and cheaper, and so they're just kind of like bracing for the future with that. Like, it's like they're charging $50 more for something that they are probably not spending a dime on,
and also probably
making.
This probably costs as much or less than the model they're selling currently, because of the pricing and shortages have caused them to have to work around things in a different way. What I've heard is that like you're saying, the LCD model is probably more expensive to manufacture than this OLED model, simply because of how prevalent OLEDs are these days. So I imagine that they probably don't have to charge that extra $50, that they're just going to do it because they're Nintendo and they know they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that if I bought this in like October, whenever it launches, I feel confident that by the time E3 next year rolls around, they're going to announce something else, and I would be so pissed. So I think I'm not gonna get it.
I'm probably gonna get it.
You're probably gonna get it.
I bought, dude. So somebody actually stole the first Switch that I bought.
I remember that, yeah.
And then I had to buy another one, and I did it like the next day. I was like, well, guess I got to buy another Switch, and went and bought another Switch the next day. And I feel like this is kind of a similar thing where it's like, well, guess I got to buy another Switch, because I do. So a little bit about OLEDs, if you don't know, basically the way LCDs work is there's a backlight that illuminates the entire screen, and that's why whenever you have a black screen on a Switch or on an LCD TV, it doesn't look pitch black. It looks kind of like a really dark gray. And so having an OLED model, basically every single pixel is self-illuminated, and so if you have like a black section of the screen, there's going to be no backlight there causing any kind of like spillover of light or any kind of like gray tones. It's
the thing that high def has been chasing since its inception, which is the blackest blacks and the brightest brights.
So that is cool. Like
yes, it is cool.
I would love to see what Breath of the Wild looks like on
well, you've seen it, because if you've ever played docked, you've seen what it looks like. That you just be able to see it in handheld mode.
I don't have an OLED TV,
but you have. I mean, I assume that your TV does HDR and stuff like that.
It does, but OLED is so much better. Like even
it is, yeah, no doubt. But I'm just saying,
there will be a visible difference between OLED and even something with HDR that's not OLED.
Yeah, I can see that, but I still wonder. I do think it will, especially in handheld mode. Like if you put the old Switch and the OLED model right beside each other in handheld mode, it would be night and day. I honestly feel that. But I think if you were to compare like what it is on, like, say, my HD TV with HDR, which is not an OLED, but it's a really nice LCD.
Well, it doesn't have HDR pass through on it. Like there's no HDR coming from the Switch.
But since it has HDR capabilities, it is blacker. Like its blacks are going to be blacker than like a regular LCD with non-HDR capabilities, because that's just how dark that screen can get. So it's not going to be quite an OLED, but it's still better than most other LCD screens because it supports that capability.
Yeah.
But I don't think you would see as much of a difference between the two. But if you're comparing them side by side, I think you'd see a ton of difference.
And I played Zelda almost entirely in handheld mode. And so like
that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
So yeah, to be able to play something like that on something that's got like an OLED pixel illuminated picture, I think that would look awesome. And also, one other thing about OLED is that I know they didn't mention any kind of, it's the same like we said, the same internals completely, but like because it is individually illuminated pixels, if you're playing like a darker game, then those pixels that aren't illuminated are going to be taking up less battery power than having your whole screen backlit all the time. So I think you might actually just passively get some kind of like battery boost if just from that.
It's going to be using the internals from, so there was a newer version of the Switch released like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that had better battery life already. And so you're going to get that.
Yeah, you're going to get that boost.
So, and then what you're saying with the LC or the OLED improvement, you might actually get another battery bump.
Yeah, it's going to be a little one, but I think it might be noticeable.
When I play my Switch in handheld mode for an extended period of time and it dies or it's about to die on me after like a couple of hours of play, like it is very annoying. So any kind of like boost in battery life would be a welcome thing to me. But again, I don't think that that's enough for me specifically. Like, and if I didn't think the new Switch was or like a new revision of Switch 1, if it was going to be Switch 2 like in 3 years from now, I would probably buy this. But I still believe that there's going to be some kind of upgrade in the next year or so for the current like Switch 1. So
yeah, there will.
It's like the DS. Remember when the DS had like 6 models.
Dude, that's what Nintendo does. Yeah, like think about it with the DS and then the 3DS and then like the
that's what I meant, the 3DS.
The 3DS XL, then the new 3DS XL. Like and then the 2D, the 2DS little,
and the 2DS XL.
Yeah, so it's all, and like that's basically the 2DS is the Switch Lite of the DS models.
So I think that, yes, exactly. And I think that this one is the 3DS XL, which is the version I bought. Yeah. I didn't buy a 3DS until the XL came out, and I loved it.
Yeah, I've got the baseline 3DS, and I've been looking at new 3DS XLs on eBay and on Amazon for like the last like 3 years, and I just haven't pulled the trigger, but I really want one.
I still have the regular 3DS XL, and I love it. I don't know but this would be like me waiting on the new 3DS XL is what I'm looking for the Switch, like the next Switch revision, which is like a bump in power, better battery life, and 4K capabilities. Like I think that they'll get there eventually. I fully believe they'll get there at some point. But if it's 2022 or 2023, at some point you're going to be ramping up for the whatever Switch 2 is. So maybe it isn't even going to be worth it by the time they actually get around to doing it when the chip shortage isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah. I wonder, dude, do you know what is actually causing that chip shortage? Because I have no idea.
It was when the manufacturing plants in China shut down during COVID. So they weren't able to keep making processors. So now, because of the backlog of, however long the factories were shut down, I don't know how long they were shut down, but however long that was, or like had decreased staff for a little while, like all that kind of thing, they just haven't been able to ramp up production in a way that is satisfying all the needs. And also you got to think about how many, like, not just, we heard about Switches and PlayStations and all that, like during COVID, all of the sales of like personal electronics went up a ton because people knew they were going to be stuck inside for a long time. So they started buying stuff like that.
So manufacturing went down, demand went up, and now we're just in this shit storm afterwards.
Yep. And we'll get back to it, eventually, like everything tapers out given enough time. But right now
I think we're several years away from it being back to normal with that.
I think we're a year away from it or so. I think, because what I think is going to end up happening is that people are going to buy older stuff. So like the people that want, like, people are impatient. So if you wanted like say a Switch or something, when the OLED model comes out, you're going to go buy an old Switch that you can get for cheap from GameStop or something like that. Or you're going to buy an iPhone that like an iPhone 11 instead of like the brand new iPhone that's coming out if it's really hard to find. And you've seen this now with PlayStation 4s. PlayStation 4s are impossible to find right now. I don't know if you knew this or not, but
nope.
Yeah, PlayStation 4s are like really, really hard to find right now because everyone wants to play. People want to play games, and there's not really a lot of PS5 exclusives. So people are hearing about games and stuff that have maybe.
Dude, if you haven't played a PS, all right, I know that our audience for the most part probably has a PS4, but if you don't have a PS4 and you have not played a PS4 and you can find a PS4, get yourself a PS4.
Yeah.
Just do yourself that favor.
And that's also causing the price of PS4s to go up, which is it's crazy. I mean, we live in a really weird time right now. Like
The world
it's
sucks.
crazy. Yeah, and I hope that by the time Christmas comes around, when people are trying to buy stuff for their kids and stuff, that you can buy it, just like go into a store and buy a PS4 or even a PS5. But I highly doubt that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that sucks about this is that this OLED model is probably going to cause another like fake scarcity like we have with the PS5. And
well, Nintendo is notorious for doing that. They have literally just like not shipped out warehouses before and just let the people go crazy.
Yeah.
That's a fact. They have done that, and it caused. They're just notoriously bad about fake scarcity. Like there was one thing. Actually, this is a totally. I mean, it's still Nintendo. Last year, or no, was the 35th anniversary for Mario this year? It was this year,
or it was 2020.
Okay,
which is not this year.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So it's 2020. So
yes.
Whenever
it was last year, but it feels like this year.
I've bought like every Mario game ever, pretty much, and whenever that 35th anniversary came out, there was a pin set. There was like an enamel pin set that, like, if you went to Mario35.com and did like these challenges, it was like
I remember that.
You can get this pin set, and I did it, but I didn't claim the pins for like a week, and then I went back and tried to claim them, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, they're all gone." In like the span of a week, and I was like, "What the heck is that? Like, you got to be kidding me!" You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if you were going to do anything else after that. Like,
no. It's just that's the kind of crap they do, man. It's like they did this huge announcement and was like, "Hey, go get your pin set," and then like 1 week later, I couldn't get the pin set, and I've literally bought every Mario game that's ever existed and celebrated this event.
They do those kinds of dumb, like you said, they manufacture scarcity and things like that, but they do these dumb like contests like what you're talking about with the pins and stuff, where to the point where like Wario64 is tweeting about it and being like, all right, if you need these pins, you got to do this and this tonight to do this, and like before they all run out, before you can't get them anymore. And it's like, why do that when you could just like release it the regular way? Or like,
it's an enamel pin set, dude. They could make so many of those.
Or like, why not let Mario 35th anniversary just be available to buy forever?
Yeah, I am the guy that bought 2 copies of that. By
you are and you're part of the problem. So, but here's the other thing about that is that collection was not very good. The games are great, but the like actual remastering of them was pretty bad.
There wasn't a remastering.
They need to pull that, do it right, and then re-release it. That's a release in perpetuity, which is like you can buy this at any time. I hope that's what they.
I think they'll release those games individually as remasters and probably charge the same amount of money that they charge for.
It'd be 20 a piece.
No, they would charge the full amount for every single $40. $40, I think, for each one.
God, that'd be very Nintendo, but also very stupid. Because I ain't paying $40 for Mario Sunshine. I don't give a good gosh darn. I'm not paying that much for Mario Sunshine.
Good gosh darn about none of them Mario Sunshines.
Don't give me that stubble up.
Oh, one last thing about the new Switch.
Uh-huh.
All right, I know the OLED's not doing it for you. I know the kickstand isn't doing it for you. What about the fact that it's white?
As somebody who owns a PS5 and a white controller, I can tell you that sucks.
It's dirty too easy.
It gets dirty, it gets dusty. There's a reason why white hasn't been the default since 2005 when the Xbox 360 released. Literally every other console that Xbox and Sony has done since that 2005 release has been black or some darker shade. Like nobody does white consoles anymore. And there's a reason for that, because they get dusty and dirty in a way that is very noticeable. Even if you clean them a bunch, it's hard to, like, if you get a scratch on it.
That white dock looks
I think it looks very nice. I'm not going to say, I think the PS5 looks nice, but I wish it were black.
No, the PS5 looks like trash.
I don't think that's true at all.
Dude, it looks like never mind.
A space router.
Yeah.
I can see people's criticism. I think it looks cool because I think it looks different and not like, every other thing that's been released for the past 15 years. But I do think I think the OLED model looks good. And I think the new Joy-Cons look good. But guess what? They're still the same old Joy-Cons, and the Joy-Con is a terrible, terrible controller. and
yeah, shots fired, but they're valid.
I mean, it is like if I can play
I have
a game
Joy-Con drift. I've bought like 3 sets of Joy-Cons, and I get Joy-Con drift
2.
on every single one of them.
I've only got one of them has Joy-Con drift. My other ones do not. But like, if I can play, I can't play like platformer side scrollers in like handheld mode, because the D-pad is just the worst thing. It's not even a D. It's 4 digital
you
buttons.
don't? Okay, you use the D-pad for all side scrollers?
Yeah, I'm a real gamer.
Dude, just use the joystick.
For
a side-scrolling platformer.
Wait, do you play fighting games with the D-pad with the?
No, heck no.
This is the same thing.
No, it's not. Because the
Yes,
inputs on a fighting game have to be much more accurate than left and right on a stick.
Than Dead Cells?
Yeah.
No, dude. Dead Cells is one of the most demanding.
Dead Cells is the right thumb. Mortal Kombat is the left thumb.
No, I'm talking about movements on your left thumb.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, the demanding part of Dead Cells comes from like the combat.
No, it's the movement. Like you're constantly dodging and rolling and like moving, jumping up
left
and down.
left and right. That's it though. And like with a D-pad, you got to like move all the way across. You got to move all the way across. With a stick. You just flick.
Your thumb covers up the entirety of the D-pad. You just press over and up. Like you're not like moving all the way around like this.
You're a psycho. You're a psycho.
I think most of the people that play side scrollers are going to be like, yes, you use a D-pad for side scrollers.
I guarantee you I play more side scrollers than you.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, you see my shirt? You see my shirt? I mean, come on.
You were telling me how you don't even like platformers.
I don't like platformers, but I play basically every Metroidvania known to man. And there's more 3D platformers released today than there are side-scrolling platformers.
That's not true.
There's way more of these types of games released.
That's wrong.
Like, but see, you're talking something like Celeste, you would say is a platformer, but I would call it a Metroidvania.
It's both.
Well, that's what I mean, is that I do play a lot of those games. I'm not going to play.
Did you play Celeste?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't like it, but I did play it.
Oh, whoa.
It's not my type of game. But
probably because you're trying to play with the fucking D-pad.
That's not. So, but see, here's name of pure side-scrolling platformer released lately. I can't think of a single one that isn't like a Metroidvania or something like that.
Ori.
That's a Metroid. That is 100% Metroidvania. 100%. That's literally the definition of a Metroidvania.
But it is a platformer. It is a platformer.
In the same way that most of these types of games are. And guess what? When I play that on my PC, I'm using the D-pad on the PS4 controller.
I thought you were about to say you're using WASD, and I was about to reach through the computer and strangle you.
If it's a console-style game on the PC, I'm definitely using a controller. I don't like mouse and keyboard.
Good man. All right, we'll save this gentleman's duel for another time. I could bust out the white glove right now. All right, so that's enough about the Switch. Actually, let's take a quick break because I need another beer. What do you say?
That sounds good.
All right,
and we'll knock out the state of play stuff and there was the rest of the news and
we'll get through this for show. All right, we'll be right back with more booze and games. Ooh, perfect. Welcome back, everybody, to the Gaming and Drinking Cast with your hosts, Travis Casey and me, Adam Gogan.
We should probably start with our names from. We forgot to do that at the beginning of this episode.
We do that every week. I feel like.
Yeah, no, we always forget. We forget to start with it. We assume that everybody knows us really well.
No one knows us. No one knows us. Yeah, my name's Adam, by the way. Nice to meet you guys. Ooh.
Yeah, and I'm Travis. And the douche.
Oh, switching it up.
So you're drinking the same thing again.
Yes, I am.
Miami Nights.
Maximum Florida by Westbrook. It is a Imperial Berliner Weiss with dragon fruit, passion fruit, mango, pineapple, pink guava, key lime, tangerine, coconut, marshmallows, and milk sugar.
I love milk sugar.
Now coming to the stage next, Brandy.
No, it's got to be Brandy. It's got to be like
Candy.
There you go. Candy Lane. Candy Cane.
Whoa. Where's Candy Cane?
I am drinking a New Holland Dragon's Milk.
Oh, Lord.
Which is a barrel-aged stout. It is delicious.
It's like 13% too, isn't it?
It's 11%. It's only 12 ounces though, so it's not gonna hurt me. This beer is great. It's another national brand for us, and it's Dragon's Milk. They've been doing it forever. They've been a craft brewery since before craft breweries were a thing, and they're still going strong. So if you like,
more power to them.
If you like barrel-aged stuff, they were one of the first ones to do it. And they've been doing it for a long, long time, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, Dragon's Milk is very popular.
And you can get this in grocery stores somehow. This sells incredibly well during the summertime, which blows my mind. But here, I have one, so I guess it's not that big of a surprise.
Yeah, I kind of don't hold fast to the whole you don't drink dark beers in the summer, you don't drink light beers in the winter.
It's more. I think it's more that, especially in Columbia heat, the last thing you want is a big, thick stout. You want something fruity and sugary.
I always like it thick.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's going down your throat.
Oh, yeah, nice and thick.
I like how you turned into Macho Man Randy Savage when you said that, too.
Thick.
Yeah, brother. Give it to me thick.
No, but I kind of see it as an alcoholic version of Don't Wear White After Labor Day.
Yeah, it's more of a guideline than a rule. But
yeah.
I think there is something logical about that thinking. I don't subscribe. If I wanted to drink, I do drink stouts clearly in the summertime, and porters. But I think that I understand the idea behind it, because I was out at Wico the other day, which is a beer garden in West Columbia, and it was so hot. They only have outdoor seating, and even though it was shaded and there was an awning, it was so hot outside. And I kept going in, and I was like, these stouts look good, but I'm gonna go get another sour because it is too hot outside for something like that.
Yeah.
But if you're inside in air conditioning, it's fine. So
yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, dog. All right. So before we left, we talked about the Switch and how it's cool.
It's cool.
But now
it is a thing.
Just quickly, we're gonna talk about a little bit more news that came out this week about the Sony State of Play happened. It mostly focused on Deathloop, which apparently people had not seen enough of yet, so they were like, we need to have a whole State of Play about this game. But then there was
only about a third of the State of Play, but it did feel a little redundant after they took 10-15 minutes in the E3 presentation to show Deathloop. It
cool
was
game though.
Weird that it looks great. I am very excited. I will definitely play that. I will buy that game. I don't think we needed 15 minutes of it at this State of Play.
Yeah, it looks fun. But dude, there's a couple other games from that State of Play that I'm super stoked for that I wish they would have shown a little more love to.
Yeah.
For instance, we had if you're a PSVR lover like me, they showed some more of that their Moss Book 2. And that was that when they announced the name there, right? Book 2.
They might have announced the name, but we knew that there was another Moss coming.
But I don't think they announced the name Book 2 yet. I think they just announced the name Book 2.
What an exciting announcement.
Yeah, Moss Book 2. That's a great name. That's a great name because,
because it unfolds like a book.
It's all about the book.
I mean, I get it,
it's the story and the hero and all. Yeah.
I liked Moss just fine. I didn't like it as much as Astrobot or some of the other VR games, and I never finished
enjoyed
it.
Moss. It is a very heartfelt adventure.
It's a very good-looking, cool game too.
Yes.
But something about the diorama style controls just never clicked with me the way that Astrobot did.
Mm-hmm.
Astrobot to me felt like Mario 64 as a PlayStation game, and because you remember the first time you played Mario 64, and it was this mind-blowing thing where you're panning the camera around and you're able to look in every direction. And with Astrobot, you
remember that noise whenever you would press the C button?
Yeah, you couldn't when Laku would come down and be like, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
But Astrobot felt like a very new experience. It was you could like peek around like you turn your camera, your head in a certain way, your head, because that's your head's the camera, and you like would peek around corners and stuff and see things like secrets and stuff. It just felt like a super cool thing. And Moss had a little bit of that, but it wasn't as fun to me. Like
no,
Astrobot
I think
was pure fun.
Astrobot was pure fun. Moss was more of a story, which I do. I enjoy a good story, and it was, like I said, it was super heartfelt and earnest. And I really dug the characters in Moss. I connected on a level with those characters that I definitely didn't with Astrobot.
Right.
But the gameplay, the mechanics of Astrobot, like you can't beat them. But
right, exactly.
Like, yeah. So I'm super stoked for Moss Book 2. What else was there?
So for me, the big one was Jet: The Far Shore, which is the new Super Brothers game. If you ever played Sword and Sorcery, or I can't remember the other game they did, but they did Sword and Sorcery on the iPhone a long time ago, and that game like basically
that was fun.
Changed how I thought about games on a phone could be. Like it was just so, the music was incredible, the gameplay was like a, you know, primitive side scrolling type thing, but the artwork was amazing, and like they've got that same type of style but done with a bigger budget with Sony's money behind it. In this game, and it looks the gameplay, I don't know if you watched any of the gameplay stuff, but it looks awesome. That game's gonna be something special.
Oh yeah, this one, dude. It reminded me some of that like first beginning gameplay. What was the game that came out last year where like all the movement was done with like an arrow that you shot at like the little nodes, like you would run around the field? And
that's not out yet. That I think what you're talking about is the new the Heart Machine game. The guys who did
no, it definitely was out. It was out last year. It was because Ben Pack played it a lot on Giant Bomb.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh well, but yeah, it very fast, fast-paced gameplay.
It looks a little bit like Below, or one of those like top-down, you know, games from like the combat perspective. It looks a little bit of that kind of thing, but I just love the art style.
Yeah, the art style's fun. Honestly, I like the minimalist design. I know we've talked about that before. Kind of the like color palette and stuff kind of reminds me a little bit of gosh dang it, what was the game where what was the game? Nope. The game where it won like all sorts of awards, and it was like you go in solo, but then you meet up with another player, but you don't know you're met up with another player.
Oh, Journey.
Yeah.
It does. It definitely has some Journey vibes to it.
Getting some Journey vibes on some of that like far perspective stuff and like the minimalist environments.
That's why I think it reminds me of Below a little bit, because of the way the camera pulls out and stuff like that.
What's that game? That's gonna be.
You thought about?
You ever been in any of them lesbian chat rooms?
What? What's the deal with chat roulette?
I was making
3% of our audience got that.
I was making an Out Cold reference.
I was making a Cal Gogan reference.
Oh God.
So one of the other games that looks really cool is Sifu that they showed, and that's kind of like a martial arts.
Good segue. Good segue.
We're gonna get away from chat roulette.
Nixon was in the White House, Reagan was president, and Ford was running this country into the ground.
Wait, what? All three of them?
Dude, you gotta watch Out Cold. If
I've seen Out Cold like twice when I was in like early college.
One of my favorite comedies.
That opening scene where they spin the car around and the guy wakes up cracks me up every single time.
It's Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, it's Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, it's so good. And David Ketchner is so good in that movie.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh man, he's the dude from Anchorman, the sports guy.
Oh yeah,
Champ.
Yeah, Champ. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's who I'm. That's David Ketchner. I actually saw him in college do some stand up.
Oh, I do. I remember when you saw that. I remember you telling me about that. That's fun.
Yep. Anyways, yeah. So, Sifu. Let's go to Sifu. What'd you think about that there, Sifu?
It looks awesome. It looks very combat heavy. I love a good martial arts game. There hasn't been a whole lot of them to choose from lately. There was that Absolver, but I never clicked with that. It was way too systems heavy for me. But I like Jade Empire is one of my absolute favorite games. I hope that they re-release that game sometime.
Never played Jade Empire.
Oh, it's so fucking good. It's so, the combat is incredible, and it also has like a BioWare story on top of it. It's just such a great game. It's probably what people would call problematic now because of the like Asian stereotypes and stuff, because it's made by a bunch of white guys in America. But
I'll be honest, I'm looking at this Sifu right now, and you know what it kind of reminds me of is Sleeping Dogs. Like Sleeping Dogs.
I love Sleeping Dogs.
That's a great game.
I platinumed that game. I loved it so much.
Wait, wasn't it only on Xbox?
No, I have it on PS4.
Oh, I thought it was only on Xbox. I played it on Xbox.
They did it a definitive edition on
PS4.
Oh
yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that was way after it first came out, though, right?
Oh yeah. I think I played it on Xbox too. I think I replayed it on PS4 and Platinum.
Such an awesome game, though. But dude, this Sifu looks sick.
I love Hong Kong action movies, so
same.
The way just like in Sleeping Dogs, with the way that if you can make a game look cinematic in the way that a Hong Kong action movie does, then you've got me hook, line, and sinker. Like, I'm there from day one.
Fun fact: me and Travis both took a Hong Kong cinema course in college.
Wait, you took that class too?
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
You had Steimer?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I loved that class.
It was so good.
Yes. So much Jackie Chan, dude.
A lot of Jackie Chan, a lot of stuff that I had already seen before, but getting able to talk about it was like really cool. And a lot of Donnie Yen. Yeah, that class is great. And a lot of stuff that I'd never even thought of, like a lot of early Hong Kong cinema and stuff like that. I didn't know you took that. That's great.
Dude, we have literally had that conversation.
Were we drunk?
Probably.
Yeah, that's fine.
Were we drunk? Like, if you ask me and Travis, like, when we're hanging out, were we drunk? It's like there's like a 60% chance that
because if we're in person, we're probably drunk. If we're on the phone, we're probably not drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's yes. And so like, I love that style of filmmaking. And I wish that more games, you'd see some of that influence in some games these days, but not as much. You would think like after Sleeping Dogs that people would just rip off that combat system because it was so good, but no one really has. And then, like I said, like Absolver was doing some cool things, but it was one of those games where you made a combo. Like you would make a combo and then like make a shortcut for it on your, you would like take the inputs. You would have to like edit the inputs.
Yeah, you create your own combo and kind of like code it out to where like if you press square, it does this combo or whatever.
Right, and it just became so systems heavy, and I just was not looking for that. Like, give me like the Sleeping Dogs style, or like even like a Bushido
super
blade,
quick
like
punches, super quick kicks. Really just makes you feel like a Hong Kong badass.
What was that John Woo Chow Yun Fat game from the 360
game?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Stranglehold. Do you remember that?
No.
It was very John Woo inspired. It like to the point where you would like there would be like trolley carts like laying like in the middle of like an arena, and you would like slide on them and pull out two pistols and you would go to slow-mo and you would shoot across the map. It wasn't a great game, but it had very cool like concepts and stuff.
Good references.
Yeah. But this was it was I think it was actually called John Woo's Stranglehold. So
okay.
It was a good concept, and I love Chow Yun Fat, so it was cool to see him in a video game, but didn't quite have the impact that like Sleeping Dogs was a better version of that kind of game that they were trying to do anyway.
Man, gosh, they should do more Sleeping Dogs. Didn't I think the rights, I think the reason, I think it's like some rights situation. Like
I don't think it was very successful.
I think it became more of a cult hit afterwards.
Yeah, it definitely became a cult hit for sure. But I don't know if that would be enough to make a publisher take another risk on it. Because I think they spent a lot of money on like really good Chinese actors to do all that stuff. So
yeah. All right. So yeah, Sifu looks awesome. For people like us that want more Sleeping Dogs, I think that's a game to definitely take a look at. Lost Judgment. Speaking of like awesome like Asian fighting in video games, Next Judgment's coming out.
Lost Judgment looks incredible. If you watch that trailer, it is awesome. I never played the original. I'm definitely going to go back and play it after I finish Like a Dragon. But I did read some depressing news today, though, that goes along with this, that the series is going to end now because it's weird. So if you don't know anything about how Japanese talent studios work, they basically own their actors and their performers, and the talent agency that owns the lead actor in Judgment and Lost Judgment is an incredibly popular Japanese actor. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. It's like Tefuse or something like that. But he's very, very popular. And getting him in Judgment was like a huge coup for Sega. And these games have been very successful in Japan and successful in the West. So they've been trying to find ways to make more money off of it. And one of the things that they wanted to do was take it to Steam. And apparently the talent agency does not want these games to be released on Steam. So they're going to break the contract.
Okay, so couldn't they, I mean, because this is video games and like, I feel like it would be a breaking continuity a little bit, but couldn't they
100%
feasibly get another actor and just be like, all right, new character model?
One of the reasons these games are so popular is because of that actor. When I say that he's popular, like he's like,
it would be like
if you're replacing if somebody was like, oh, we're just going to replace Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. That's kind of like that situation, where to the point where they know that he's that popular and they can do this kind of shit and be like, we're not going to let him be in the next one if you're going to release it on Steam, which is crazy to me. Like, wouldn't you want to make the most money that you can for the thing that your actor is in?
I wonder if it, like, this is totally me talking out of my ass, but I wonder if it would have anything to do with the fact that games on Steam get modded to hell.
That's 100. Jeff Grubb said that it's like they could put him in like all kinds of compromising positions.
Exactly.
And,
they could do things with that actor that like you don't want to be done to that actor.
Right.
If you're the talent agency.
That's probably the bigger concern, but like
still, yeah, that sucks, dude.
Well. But regardless, this game will be released and will be.
But you know what they're gonna do? They're just gonna like, boom, here's another story in the Yakuza universe. That's all they got to do.
Which like, is what Judgment is already. So they can that universe is so broad and vast that they could literally do whatever they want in it, and like it would sell and it would be awesome. And honestly, like Kiryu or not Kiryu, I think Kazuma from the new Like a Dragon series is he's not a famous actor, but he's like such a popular character now because he's great and good. Yeah. That you can. That's
one way to say.
He is though. Like he's very earnest. Like he's very like hard on his sleeve, emotional.
Yeah.
He's the opposite of Kiryu from the original games. Like Kiryu is like a stoic badass who's awesome too in a different way. But like
I kind of look at him as oh my god, who the hell? Oh, like a Japanese Shatner.
It might be a little mind. I can see why you'd say that.
Oh god, no.
Those games are great, and it doesn't. Honestly, they could call it something else. They could do something different with a different guy. These games will always be available for us to play. Like they're not going to go away. So if they decide to spin it off into something else, I think that's fine. These games sell because they're part of the Yakuza series, not because they're. I mean, probably a combination of this actor and that, but like these games sell because they're part of that universe that people like. So
yeah,
if you spin it off into something else, they're still going to be successful.
All right. So here's a better metaphor. It would be like making a Death Stranding 2 and being like, no more Norman Reedus.
Right.
Like just replace him with somebody else.
Right. Which you could definitely
with Coral. Coral now.
I'd play that game. Is he gonna have his little hat on?
Oh yeah. Nothing else.
Coral. You think this is a democracy? It's a dictatorship.
Oh God. All right, moving on. So we talked about Judgment, Deathloop, Moss, Seafood Jet.
Oh, yeah,
the last one.
Oh no, never mind. We're not gonna transition.
The last one I wanted to bring up was Fist.
Fist.
Get fisted. that's gonna be the tagline for this game.
That's also gonna be the tagline for OnlyFans.com/gaming.
Stop. That's not a thing.
It is a thing now. We're willing it into the universe.
Now we have to make an OnlyFans. It's just gonna be me
playing
Hold-
video games.
No.
Hold controllers over your private parts.
holding a controller over my dick, playing Death Stranding.
Oh my god, playing with on Steam, so you can use the naked Norman Reedus models.
Oh god.
Somebody
No.
would subscribe to that.
No, but speaking of fist,
Uh-huh.
it stands for Forged in Shadow Torch, and
Which doesn't make any sense.
makes
This is a
no.
terrible name.
Oh, it's such
Terrible
a
name
bad.
for a video
No,
game.
it's the name Fist is great. The like whole like
It reminds me of like a Super
anagram. It's not
Nintendo
an
game.
anagram. Acronym.
Acronym. Yeah. It
Okay.
reminds me of a Super Nintendo game. They used to have all that like like those types of games where it'd be like NARC, but it wouldn't be like what NARC actually stood for. It'd be like National Association for Reconnaissance
Drug
Coup
abuse
or something like
resistance
that.
education.
Right, exactly. It's one of those, but like a bunch of video games in the '90s had these like acronyms like that, and that's what this reminds me of, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
And the game looks great.
I am
Like, it looks
super
super
like
cool.
honestly, out of all the games here, as stupid like just like the characters, like they're just like these furries fighting demons, and it's just like
I think they're machines.
oh they are
Furries,
they are machines.
Furries
Okay.
fighting machines.
Okay, and they've got like these the weapons look awesome. The characters like the characters look really cool.
They do. Look cool.
And I'm always a fan of like anthropomorphic animals done in a really creative way.
Mhm.
Like I actually, I need to actually go back and play this game not on the Switch because I'm an idiot and I bought it on Switch. Was Black Sad. Like I really like the way they did the characters in that. It's really reminiscent to me of this Fist game.
That's how it has to be pronounced. It's legally in the contract. You have to pronounce it as Fist.
Yeah, so the character models look great. The fighting looks fun. Travis is gonna play it with the D-pad.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that one looks cool. What do you think about that one?
I think it looks awesome. I'm always down for Metroidvania. It is one of my favorite genres out there. And anytime they do something cool like this, which kind of brings an art style that is different, because a lot of like Metroidvanias are that 2D pixel, kind of what we've been seeing for the past 20 years, which I love, and I'll play all of those too. But this looks a little different. It looks a little more modern in 3D, and
it looks super refined. Yeah. I think that's a good word for it. Is refined
like
art style. Yeah,
and they definitely have an aesthetic that they have chosen, and they're going for it. Like I'm not a big furry guy. I'm not a big anthropomorphic person unless it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But this game does look super cool, and I will definitely play it when it comes out. And I think that the combat, the thing about 3D like Metroidvania type games is that most of the combat can be samey after a while, and it took like if you play Ori Volume 1 versus Ori Volume 2, they're like night and day video games, right? Like because the combat was so improved.
Yeah,
so
the combat in Ori 1 was super one note, and then in Ori 2 they just like here's an explosion of abilities.
Yeah, and they give you abilities like every like 30 seconds at the beginning, and it's awesome. And I think that style, this game looks like it's going to do that kind of thing where there's going to be a lot of combat options and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what they do. I think it looks really cool, and I'm glad Sony is like dipping their toes into this, because I feel like this game would like thrive on the Switch or something like that. But this is something that Sony looks like they're putting some stuff behind.
Do you know what studio is making that game?
I have no idea.
Fist. Oh God, I feel like I shouldn't be googling this.
What studio is making Fist?
Fist game. Yikes. Let me find out that developer real quick. Developer.
I think I have it right. I can pull it up real quick.
There we go. Let's see. Not First. Damn you. TI Games.
Travelers International.
Yeah.
I just made that up. Those TT, because TT is Traveler's Tales.
TI Games. I don't know if they've done any other games.
I don't remember anyone saying when they showed this trailer. I don't remember people being.
They did Ancient Amulator VR.
Amulator.
Amulator. Amuletor. Ancient Amulator. Never even heard of it. But Fist seems way cooler than Ancient Ambulator, I think. But
That seemed cool.
Yeah. Actually, some of that combat kind of reminded me of Ori. Speaking of that,
Yeah,
like
that's what I think.
the
I think that's why I liked
the hammer that he had, like, and the whip and the arrows, like, it was very Ori looking, just in a way flashier way.
Yeah, I think that's why I went to that, because it reminded me of Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tangential to this, not exactly in the this was revealed at E3, or not E3, at oh no, it was E3. It was at the, I don't remember, where did they reveal the Death Stranding thing? Oh, Summer
That
Games
was
Fest.
E3.
That was Summer Games
Yeah,
Fest.
yeah, same week.
Yeah. So not part of the state of play, but tangentially related because it's on Sony's PS5, is Death Stranding Director's Cut. And Kojima. So this has been a thing that people made fun of when it first came out, because they were like, how can there be a director's cut of a game that clearly had no editor? And which is valid.
Yeah,
But,
I think we actually had a good conversation about that, where we
right.
said that, like, what's it gonna be? Just like Death Stranding with just the orange scene.
The orange scene, yeah. And Kojima has clarified that he would not have called it this if it were up to him.
He would call it Directors Plus.
Directors Plus, which is the most Kojima thing I've ever heard.
I
in my entire
love it.
life. I do
love it
too.
so much.
I love it.
He's the best.
I actually really enjoyed Death Stranding. I never beat it, and I will probably buy this and go back and finish it, especially because it'll have all the content that what made Death Stranding special was the stuff that other players created inside of that world, especially the roads and stuff. Which is a weird thing, is that, like, it makes it easier because other people did the work for you. And that's not maybe a good video game, but what it is good, what makes it special is it makes it an experience as opposed to just playing a video game.
It's a Strand game.
It is a Strand game.
It's a Strand game. Duh.
And so he has clarified that he would not call it a director's cut. But what I wanted to talk about was, it seems like this is going to be Sony's branding going forward with these types of big PS5 re-releases of PS4 games. And we're talking like the biggest of the big. This is Death Stranding. We're talking Ghost of Tsushima already has this.
But yeah, but they're calling it Director's Cut, but, like, I don't know. I don't like the naming. I don't like it
either, but I think this is what they're going to do to differentiate. This is so they can charge you at least $40 to $60 again.
But they already have that with, like, definitive editions and, like, with Game of the Year editions.
But everybody calls their shit that. This is Sony. Sony is prestige.
Oh, yeah.
Sony is saying, we're doing something different. We're doing.
All right, here's what they need to do. They need to get Hideo Kojima and Quentin Tarantino.
Oh God.
To make a video game together, and then have an editor come in and, like, tell them,
yeah,
guys.
Tell those two that we're gonna
listen. I know your game is supposed to be 150 hours. We're gonna need it down to about 70.
Nope.
And then like, everybody buys it, and then, like, a year later they just release the full game
with 150 hours of content
and call it the Tarantino Kojima cut.
Yeah. So I do think that they're going to do this going forward. I fully expect that we're going to see a Last of Us Part 2 director's cut sometime in 2022, or maybe even by the end of the year. I think that if it was coming by the end of the year, they would have said it at E3, but I think this is going to be branding for them going forward, because they're going to take.
It's going to,
and a God of War director's cut. All their giant blockbusters are going to get this treatment. This is
you're
what
right, and you know what? I hate it. I really hate it. That's all I'm going to say about it.
I don't mind it. I don't like the naming convention, because I think it's more of a film thing. Because
I think it's another way for them to
extract money,
dig more money out of my pocket for a game that I've already played.
Horizon Zero Dawn director's cut. For sure.
I honestly, I might be really Adam about this, and just, like, be like, I'm not doing it. I'm not buying it. I refuse.
When they do a God of War,
you can all go F yourselves.
I bet you will buy that. Or Last of Us Part 2.
If it comes with a statue, then yes.
You've already got the statue.
Yeah, I need another one.
I don't know if they'll go that
I need one of Atreus, like, at the end of the game, finding the cave paintings.
Yeah, that when the thing blows off.
Oh yeah,
that's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be an issue for Sony for a little while, because they're going to keep re-releasing these PS4 games. I think it's shitty that they're not just going to give you the like $10 upgrade option like everybody else is doing. But it's Sony. This is kind of what they do.
I think we might be jumping the gun though, because so far it's only been 2 games. It's been Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima, both of which are either directed by a huge game director or like totally inspired by a huge film director.
But
like,
so is Last of Us Part 2. Like that is 100% inspired by big filmmaking. So
but a specific director.
Yeah, I guess it's not Kurosawa like.
Yeah, like this one, they have a straight up Kurosawa mode. Like, and I know it's BS, but like it's there, and it's a director's thing.
2 things here. So the fact that they've done this with 2 games signals that this is something that is they have, at least their marketing department is going with. And the other side of it is that the guy who created this, the actual director, says that he would not have chosen this nomenclature if he had the option to.
I think this is a flash in the pan, though.
You want to put a pizza bet on it?
Beer bet.
Beer bet. Beer and pizza bet.
You're just hungry.
I'm very hungry right now.
No,
right, beer bet.
Beer bet. All right, so beer bet is that
this is going to continue.
That the director's cut is going to be a part of a Sony PlayStation branding, kind of like PlayStation Hits kind of deal.
Yeah, I guess you could call it like, but like I think it'll be.
Is there going to be a specific logo for this?
Well, there's a logo. If you look at the Ghost of Tsushima box, and it's like right under the title. I haven't seen the Death Stranding box, so I don't know what that looks like, but it's like right under the name of it. Uh-huh. It doesn't look like a greatest hits type thing, but I think that the name is what they're going for, not necessarily like a branding like on a box type thing.
All right. So how many games have to be made?
If they do a third one, then it's
a third one. What, within the next like 6 months?
Not necessarily in the next 6 months, but like
at least the announcement within the next 6 months.
I think we'll hear an announcement within 6 months for sure.
Okay,
because that'll be 2022 by then.
All right, throwing it in the calendar. 6 months from now. Beer bet.
Doing it.
Calendar.
And that's kind of like what is going on with that. We're not. I'm excited about Death Stranding Director's Cut. I will buy that. I love Kojima more than I probably should, but it seems exciting to me, and it's something cool and different and new. But that's not all the news that there is to print. There's also something big that happened in our other side of what we play, which is.
Hold up. I'm sorry. I'm doing this calendar thing all day. It is for January 12th, 2022. The title is Beer Bet, Sony's Director's Cut, Game Announcement Deadline.
Okay.
All right.
What if they announce the Director's Cut like 6 months or like 3 months after that?
Well, then you've already bought me the beer and you lost.
But then you're going to retroactively buy me another beer.
No.
Because I'll still have been right. It'll just be after the deadline.
No, there's a bet. This bet has a hard deadline. Hard cut.
Hard cut.
Hard director's cut.
Wow.
Okay. Oof. Yeah. All right. What were you saying? I'm sorry. What other game were we?
So there was some more. The last bit of news we're going to get to today is the thing that happened in our other corner of video game playing, which is our Apex Minute. Apex.
Apex Minute.
So there was a big hack that happened about a week ago in Apex Legends.
And they brushed it under the under the rug, like completely.
Well, because they didn't have any reason to acknowledge it, because it's a bunch of douchebags.
It was so stupid. It was so stupid.
And so the backstory is that it was a bunch of disgruntled Titanfall 2 fans who are mad
Titanfall 1. Titanfall 1.
Was it 1?
Yeah. They're mad about They're mad about Titanfall 1.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2, because that makes more sense, because that's a way more popular game. So I guess they're mad that there's a rampant cheating in Titanfall 1.
If you get into a lobby, if you can find a lobby in Titanfall 1, you are immediately getting like hacked. You're in a hacked lobby with wall shot bots and aim bots, and it's just all screwed. It's like jumping into a Call of Duty game, like an old Call of Duty game.
Yeah, which is why.
Which
yeah.
it's
that
it happens. It happens. Yeah. The game, once a game like a first person shooter gets old.
Yeah.
The hackers have time to to really pick this code apart. They'll hack whatever the heck they want into it.
And you can't be mad at the developers who are literally
moved on.
Like, they're not going to make money off of selling this game anymore. Like especially at Xbox One.
The main thing I think the one valid complaint I think they have is that if you go into the Steam store, and you looked at the summer sale, they had Apex Legends right next to Titanfall in the store, and so
right.
Apex Legends players are gonna curious Apex Legends players might be like, oh, I want to find out a little more about the lore. Buy Titanfall, and then they're essentially playing a busted multiplayer. But you still there is no campaign, so
right. There's no.
They're playing a broken game.
I completely get the complaint about it, and I understand the frustrations because if that were one of my favorite games, I would be very upset about it too. But this is not the way to fix it.
No,
all it does is take resources they could have been using towards whatever other game you might like from them, and having to put it towards fixing Apex, which wasn't broken until these guys broke it. And what really is sad about it is that they're not going to help this at all. It's not going to change anything.
No,
it's just going to frustrate these developers who are probably, they're probably not overworked because Respawn seems like a pretty good company to work for, but they're also not going to be like, okay, well, now that you guys were complete dickheads about this, we're definitely going to get on this issue that you have. That's not
the hypocrisy of it all is what kind of blows my mind. It's like, so you're complaining about hackers,
right?
So you're gonna hack the other game and ruin it for the players.
For the people who you claim to like their game, they're the ones who are gonna have to fix this bullshit. And now you've just made more work for people whose work you
so
claim to like.
let's kind of actually go over what actually happened. So I logged into Apex last week sometime. And I was really confused because when you pull up the Apex lobby screen and the playlist, matchmaking playlists,
right.
Usually there's trios, duos, ranked, and arenas.
Right.
And all of those were just, they had the icons on them was just a picture of a padlock. So you couldn't even click them. And then there was only one playlist you could click, and all it said on it was #save Titanfall. And I was like, "What the? You got to be kidding me!"
What does that accomplish?
and then when you try to hit play, it just it would freak out for a second and then go back to the screen.
That's, and what do you think is going to happen at that point, right?
And I was looking at Respawn's Twitter and stuff. And they were just like, yeah, we're working on it. I don't know what else to say. And that just sucks. God.
Yeah, because now they have to devote resources that they wouldn't have had to do originally to this. And I think it was on the weekend, right? So there's probably not even.
Oh, and it was down. I think it was down for a whole day almost. And if you think about it, a game like that, every hour that it's not being played, think of how much money they're losing out on.
And you're just hurting the developers of a game that you purport to like.
The game is free. The one that you're breaking is free. Come on.
and it sucks. I do get the complaints about this, but that game came out in 2013. You're talking about a game that is 8 years old at this point, and I can tell you
there's already been a sequel. There's been a sequel that's way better.
I used to play Jedi Knight 2 all the time, even after it was not a huge game anymore. And those lobbies were hacked like a motherfucker. You could not go in there without having people cheating rampantly. But you know what? You kind of learn to deal with it. And just if you want to keep playing that game, you kind of have to this is how it is. You can download your own bots and stuff if you want to. I personally wouldn't do that, but you kind of just learn to deal with it. And it's not, if you want to keep playing that game, if you like that experience, there are ways around that. You can create private lobbies. You can do all kinds of different things. It's not easy to do that stuff, but there are ways to do it. And that's kind of what you have to do if you want to keep playing these old games. People spawn servers all the time for these old games that don't have service anymore. And that isn't an easy thing to get around. But if you care that much to where you would hack a lobby of an entirely different video game, then you would probably put the effort into create one of these private servers or do something along those lines that allows you to keep playing the game in a way that is more pure. I understand the frustrations, but this was the wrong way to go about it. Like hurting another fan base and hurting the developers of the game that made the game that you like. That is not.
Dude, I have a feeling that it was like somebody that's still in their teens. That's just really good with computers and with too much time on their hands. Like that's all it comes down to. Yep. So yeah, that's been our Apex Minute. Apex. With that, no, just kidding. So real quick, to be completely honest, I don't think either me or Travis have actually done a ton of gaming this week because we've both been super busy with doing other fun stuff like going to the river and going to bars and having fun outside of video games because there's actually surprisingly more to life than video games and drinking. However, I do love those things a lot. So I have played a little bit of some of them video games. And what I've been playing the last few days is, are you ready for this?
I don't think so.
Some of that there WWE 2K Battlegrounds. That hit game.
I've heard nothing but terrible things about this game, so I need you to tell me why you are continuing to play it.
Mostly because I like that it's not WWE 2K. And that's the only other wrestling game that's been out for a while.
When this game was announced, I was hoping that it would get back to like the N64 style of wrestling games, which we all know is the best era of wrestling.
It kind of tries to go there. But it
doesn't have the controls of like those old like WWC Nitro or like,
and also it just doesn't have the character. Like they're okay. Shoot, whoops. There is a star-studded lineup. Like I love the lineup in this game. It as someone who grew up watching 90s wrestling, it's got a lot of good. It's got quite the lot. There's Yokozuna in there, dude. They got Yokozuna. Yeah, they got Yokozuna.
Do they have like a bunch of the old like pre-NWO cast?
Yeah. Well, it's like their most.
I assume they have Hogan. And
I did not see Hogan. Probably because of all the problematic stuff that's gone on with him.
What about like Mankind?
There is Mankind. There is Undertaker, Sting. I played a Sting tonight when I played a Sting, and like I was watching to kind of see. The one thing that kind of upset me was all these wrestlers have iconic intros, and iconic intro music, and the intro music is there. But when it comes to their intros, every single one of these wrestlers basically. Instead of like walking out from a backstage area, they get dropped in on the walkway in like a box, and then they bust out of the box.
Yeah, and then like toys, right, or something.
I don't know. They're in a crate. It's like a wooden crate, and then they just like blow up out of it. And then there's like 3 or 4 different animations, like intro animations that they all share. And I'm like, come on. You
can't even get like the real entrances for them.
Exactly. For these like legendary characters, like I was because like the Sting one, I was playing with him and I was like, my memory might be wrong, but I think that's the Sting intro. But then
you saw it from like 5.
But then I played the next round and it was like the other character did the exact same intro and I was like, damn it.
It's like if they had Hogan, he'd be like ripping off his
showing that hot dog skin.
Right. That like you got to get at least like that's what people know about. That's why people like wrestling is because of the iconic stuff about it. Like the characters, the larger than life characters, their intros, the way they talk. If you lose that stuff, like that's one of the things that the 64 versions of those games were so good at. Like it wasn't a 1-to-1. It didn't look real or anything, but you knew what they were going for. You knew what they were trying to do. You knew exactly like when who was one of the big ones from back then?
Stone Cold.
Like when Stone Cold would come out and he had like the 2 beer cans in his hand, it might not look like actual beer cans, but you knew what he was doing, right? So like those kind of things, you can't really.
I mean, so other than the intro, I mean, like I said, I've done all I've done so far. I did the campaign. I've done a couple of exhibition matches, and I did create a character. And when I was playing with Sting, dude, the Scorpion Death Drop animation was pretty dope. Like they do a good job with the moves themselves.
Do you think that that's just like a slightly varied version of like a suplex though?
Well, yeah, that's what the Death Drop was.
But I'm saying like, but like, what I mean is, how much effort did they put into like differentiating that from like a different?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go through and like play with some more characters and like see how good they do with those other ones.
Yeah, because you just see that same animation over and over again. That's like, what's the point?
All I know is I hear Lawler in the background be like, "Scorpion Death Drop," and he like flies into the air.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, so that was okay. The like I said, the intros, and also like all the punch animations for every character are the exact same. Are you there? Did I lose you?
No.
Okay, your video cut out for a second.
My internet connection is unstable.
Oh no! Oh no! We're doing it again. It's happening again.
It's 10 o'clock at night. Why is my internet connection unstable? It doesn't make any sense.
So the moves were cool. The intros were garbage. The other thing I messed around with was the create a character, which honestly kind of trash too. I tried to make
that's like the biggest thing about these games is create a character. So
like I tried to make a guy that looked like the guy on the bottle for Pappy Van Winkle, and I was just gonna name him Pappy. and it just didn't work. There's like 10 there's 10 like or so, roughly a dozen hairstyles to choose from, which is crazy. Like, and they're all like short on the side, buzzed on the side with like hair on top, all of them.
Kind of like all, the haircut.
The hair looks like shit.
Of course, it probably looks like plastic.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. The hair is so bad. And that was upsetting because I really wanted to just give him like a long haircut. There was not a single just like long over the shoulders haircut. Probably, if I had to guess, because of how bad it was in WWE 2K. Do you remember how that huge debacle, like with the hair in that game?
No.
Oh my god!
I remember a lot of bugs and stuff, but I don't remember specifically any kind of hair.
Oh, dude, they were like it specifically with the hair, like it would just like start like bugging out and like just like doing some crazy stuff. So I think that's why they took out all of the longer hairdos. But there's like no long hairdos. The only long hairdo is like a ponytail that's like top knotted to the back. Like
a Heartbreak Kid?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty good one though. If you're gonna have one, that's the one to go with. I think that the reason that because it looks like longer hair, if you have like, plastic looking hair as it is, longer hair tends to look even worse and more fake. Yeah. But if you're gonna be plastic already, if you're gonna be bad at it, like at least give people the option to do that. Like, and that's the best part of those old games was like creating your own character, making them look dumb as hell, and then sending them out to fight all these famous wrestlers and stuff. Like that was the best part of those old 64 games. And if you can't capture that, then like what are you? And that creative character back in those days was not super robust or anything, but you could make it look like yourself,
Well, also all the coolest stuff is all locked behind like two different currencies.
It's one of
like
those games.
Costumes and stuff. Yeah. And you can earn the currency, but it is a grind. It is a grind if you want to earn that currency. Like otherwise you can go buy the coins.
Because this was we should say before PS Plus, this was a paid ass game. So like,
yeah, I'm by the way, yeah, I should mention I'm playing this for free on PS Plus because I would never pay for it.
Right. It's just a weird thing when you've already got like people who are, and like Sony's paying you for every download anyway. So like you're still like, they're still getting paid and you still got currencies and like free to play model stuff on top of that.
Oh, there's so much stuff that's behind a paywall or like a grind wall. Like everything costs like 4,000 or so, like of the grindy currency. And I have been playing now for probably like 2 hours or so, and I've just earned over like somewhere between 1 and 2,000. Like, and I played like almost 2 hours of the game. So it's like, okay, so like you have to play, and you get that for leveling up. So I'm sure by the time I get to higher levels and I need more XP to get to those levels, the grind is just going to get even worse.
Right.
So like you can unlock one thing after playing the game for 6 hours, and then who knows how long it's going to take after that whenever the XP gets higher. So yeah, but yeah, that game, it's okay. It's okay. I'm having fun. Like, I like punching Stone Cold Steve Austin in the face.
That seems pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see the appeal of that.
The campaign also, I will briefly mention the campaign. The story is all told via badly drawn comic panels.
Not even like rendered cutscenes or anything.
No, just comic panels that you that's like, it's like a full page comic, and then like you hit a button and it zooms in on the panel, and you tab over the next one, tab, and it goes through
Like
and reads.
Like you're reading Comixology or something.
Yep. And it's you are a guy named, at least I am a guy, I can't remember if I was drunk when I started playing this game. Like real drunk. But it was after the river the other day.
Nice.
Or wait, no. I don't know.
You stayed at my house after.
Yeah, it was the time we were drinking before that then.
Oh, after you got back with your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy I'm playing as, his name is Bolo Reynolds. And
so you don't know if you made that name or if
I did not make the name, but I think you might have been able to pick from a couple of different characters to start out with, but I might be wrong about that.
Bolo Reynolds is not the worst name I've ever
Bolo
heard,
Reynolds is a good name. I like the character Bolo Reynolds. And also so basically, like, you're wrestling in this like amateur league, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, like the first panel is him like on the phone, and he's like, Vince, I've been to all these different training facilities.
Oh, I've actually seen this intro before.
And I found two guys.
Watched that.
But it's all done in like these shitty comic panels.
Right.
So it's funny, I guess. But after I watched the first one, I've just been like skip, just to kind of get to the next fight.
Yeah, I can see that.
But those are all one note too. There's like a gosh, I could keep going. I'm not gonna keep going though. I feel like we've given this game enough time. So what have you been playing, or what do you want to talk about in your time here?
So I've been playing a bunch of different stuff. I've been playing Mass Effect again. I've been playing Shin Megami Tensei, which we talked about. I've also been playing Fallout New Vegas on stream. If you guys want to join me for that, it's a modded playthrough of that. It's very fun.
Twitch.tv/ oh my god, I almost said Kind of Funny Games.
Wow.
We're gonna edit that. Twitch.tv/ gaming and drinking. Yep. I am a little bit
toasty.
Yeah. Saucy.
So I've been playing that. I also started on stream live for the first time, which is very intimidating. AM2R, which is another Metroid 2 remake, and that game is amazing.
What does the A in that stand for?
Another.
Oh.
Another Metroid 2 remake. Because it came out right when the 3DS one came out, which is a great game. I played that. This is a much more faithful adaptation of that. They basically took the sprites from Super Metroid and made a game out of it, and it is great. But playing that game on stream is intimidating because it's what I like about Metroid games is that they're very lonely experiences, very atmospheric, very kind of like put you in a type of mood or whatever. And it's hard to like talk up while you're doing that stuff. So maybe not the best stream game. That's why I switched to Fallout New Vegas, which was a much more talky game, much more dewy game. So I'm gonna keep playing Fallout New Vegas on stream. If you guys want to join and watch, it's cool. I'm making some dumb decisions, and it's always fun to see that. Plus, it's very modded.
Is your how are you doing with your intelligence stat on that one? Actually, no. Am I thinking of Outer Worlds? I'm thinking of Outer Worlds.
Intelligence is a stat on this, but that's more like hacking and stuff like that.
Yeah, in Outer Worlds, it was like if you have a low intelligence stat, you get dumb options.
Yeah, this isn't like that like that. Although it does have some of that like DNA because this is Obsidian. But this game is there is a lot of role playing in this, especially compared to the newer Fallout games. You can choose to play as like a brute or a pacifist or whatever.
How are you playing it?
I'm kind of in between that. I'm kind of like a lone wanderer who takes every situation on its own and tries to do the right thing, which ends up me just killing a lot of people a lot of the time.
Are you like Strider?
I'm a lot like Strider.
Strider.
They basically call me Strider in this when I come through. Adam is doing his very, very good Legolas impression. If you guys didn't know what that was,
in the West.
It sounds just like. I thought Orlando Bloom was here for a second. I don't know if you guys did, but hey Orlando, how you doing? It's been a while.
Did you see the orcs? They're in the West, moving south quickly.
But the thing about your impression is that he doesn't sound gruff or anything like that at all, which is why it's so funny to me that you.
It's not gruff; it's a whisper.
That doesn't sound. It sounds a whisper. I hear you, bro. So
my elvish whisper.
You are very elvish. That's what people say about you all the time.
Elvis. No, they say I'm Elvis.
Oh, I thought you said elvish because he's elvish.
Just a bad joke. All right. I'm sorry. I hijacked your moment.
No, it's fine. I'm gonna keep going though.
Okay.
And, tell you to watch Gaming and Drinking or twitch.tv/gaming and drinking. I'm gonna keep playing that for a little while. I'm probably gonna play a little bit AM2R and a little bit more Yakuza. And I've also played a little bit more Control. I really like that game. I never finished it for whatever reason. I kind of fell off of it, but I'm playing it again, and I am going to finish it. So I'm playing a bunch of different things here and there. I've kind of like been jumping around a lot. Haven't really found anything that's been clicking with me, but I am playing a lot. It's just
I was really enjoying watching you play that Yakuza.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna play that on stream again because it's just so fucking wild,
so wacky
and entertaining. I do love Yakuza. It is hard for me to sit at extended periods at this desk and play a console type game because if I'm not like hunched over the keyboard, it doesn't quite have the same effect that it does when I'm trying to like lean back and play. But I am going to try to keep playing that game. I really, really like it. I really like those characters. So I'll let people know when I do that. But what I actually want to talk about is this bad boy right here.
There it is.
This is we can't see it because it's reversed.
No, you can see it. You can see it.
A guide to Japanese role-playing games. It is from Bitmap Books. It is a big, big boy.
Thick.
It's thick.
It's a fist.
Like fist. It's thick. And it is beautiful. Like you're talking full color spreads of these video games. You got cover art. You've got screenshots.
It's got to have hundreds of games in there, right?
It has over 600 games in it. A lot of games that I am super into Japanese role-playing games from the early 90s or early 80s and 90s. And this has games that I've never even heard of. And it goes through the history of all these things. Like you've got everything from like Final Fantasy, which is like the big stuff, but you've also got like Lufia. And some of these games that are like very influential, but are maybe not super mainstream and known.
So what does it talk about the games? Just like give an overview and
so it talks
a couple
about
pictures?
It depends on the type of game it is. So like Final Fantasy games get a little bit more. Dragon Quest, of course, gets a little bit more. But it goes into like, it's not going to give you like the big development history, but what it does is it more tries to talk about the impact it had on the industry and like why it is an important part of the history of a Japanese role-playing game. So like, with Final Fantasy, they talk about how it was influenced by Wizardry and Ultima, and how Final Fantasy has basically, and Dragon Quest have shaped the Japanese video game industry. And also like along those lines, like when the first Megami Tensei came out, how that kind of changed Japanese role playing, and then Shin Megami Tensei came out, and that kind of changed. It basically goes through the history of what had these big impacts.
So is it written like chronologically? Like no, early to later?
It starts with like an overview, and then it goes into specifics. So it starts with like the way, I'm only a little bit into it, but it's starting with like the big hitters like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Phantasy Star, those kind of games. And it's based like the big guys who basically took made the Japanese, what we think of Japanese role-playing games as.
Molded it like different parts from each of those games kind of came together to create modern Japanese games and influence them. Like it's kind of going like from bigger influencers down to like the smaller influences.
That's exactly what it's doing. It's saying like, these are the big guys who basically shape the industry. And then we're going to drill down into some of the smaller stuff that you might not know about.
That's cool as hell.
And it's very cool because like as much knowledge as I have about this stuff, there's stuff that they're bringing up that I have never even heard of. And it gives me like a lot of context for the gaps in my knowledge, and basically says, this is why you should care about this. This is why this is important to the industry. And it gives you like screenshots and artwork, which I really appreciate, because a lot of these games are not even available as like emulated games. Like some of them are from formats that don't exist as emulators, like old gaming home computers and stuff like that you can't even play right now. So it's really cool to be able to see this stuff, and like, and it's a beautiful book. Like it's the pages are thick, and they're able to like get this like glossy artwork and make it look really good. And the articles are well written. They're by a lot of people who are like big in the industry and know a lot about Japanese role-playing games, knowledgeable people that I've heard of before. And so it's not like they're just like bringing people off the street to, write these articles. Like they've got a lot of talent behind this stuff, and it's a beautiful book, and it was only like $50. So like,
okay. Yeah. That was my next question, was how much did it cost?
It's like $50, and it is by far one of the better made tomes that I've bought. I buy a lot. I buy all the Final Fantasy Ultimatia, and those are like the high water mark for me. Like they're incredibly made. And this is like right up there with those big books. It is, if you have any interest in Japanese role-playing games or video game history, stuff like that, this is a book that I think that you should definitely own if you care about that kind of stuff.
I will probably, whenever you get your fill with it, I'll probably borrow that from you. Take a look at it, because that does seem really neat.
It's very neat, and it'll make you. The other side of that is it makes you want to like download and play.
Oh, dude, you're about to have so many more JRPGs, and like you already are the JRPG guy. Like I can only imagine, like after you play that, and like you're gonna be like finding emulators and stuff.
Right. It's I've already been on the lookout for emulators that I haven't like been able to see here in a while. So I'm like constantly looking for new stuff.
Oh yeah. Nice.
It's very good, and that's what I've been spending a lot of time with lately.
That's what's up. Well, hey, dude, I don't know about you. I think that's a good place to cut this week.
Let's do it.
All right. So everybody, thanks again for listening and watching to this here episode 7. 007. The James Bond of our podcasts.
That's what they call us.
Bond. James Bond.
His impressions are just uncanny.
Oh man. I got
so
more.
Good.
I got more orcs. I got more. Anyways, no, seriously, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching and listening. And yeah, so we will see you guys next week. Cheers to you, everybody.
Cheers.
I'll have a good week. Later.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, everybody.